I visited my dying wife in the ICU after our car crash. Turns out I was the only patient in the hospital. My wife and I were in a horrible car accident. I woke up in the hospital with a broken leg and a concussion. I asked the nurse about my wife and she said she was in the ICU. I tried to get out of bed to see her, but the nurse stopped me. I was furious. I needed to see my wife. I eventually convinced the nurse to let me go. I hobbled down the hall to the ICU and saw my wife lying in a bed, hooked up to machines. I was devastated. I sat by her side for hours, holding her hand and talking to her. I told her how much I loved her and how we were going to get through this together. Eventually, the nurse came in and told me I had to go back to my room. I didn't want to leave her, but I knew I had to. The next day, I woke up and asked the nurse to take me to see my wife again. She looked at me strangely and said, "Your wife is in the room with you." I was confused. I looked over and saw my wife lying in the bed next to me. She was awake and smiling at me. I was overjoyed. I asked the nurse about the woman I had seen in the ICU the day before. She said there was no woman in the ICU. I was the only patient in the hospital. I still don't understand what happened.